Mr. Boo.
Hey, welcome back. It is Monday. Now, I've spent the last weekend with it starting with Friday the 13th, 14th, 15th, brings me to Monday. Well, I watched all the movies, I went camping, and I survived. And I am here to tell you the first 8 videos took all weekend. That was quite the experience, but most people camp on the weekend, so I'm going to say I went to Camp Forest Green, Camp Crystal Lake, whatever you call it. It is still Crystal Lake to him. 8 movies, 8 spots on a countdown, 8 from 1, 8 being my least favorite, 1 being my most favorite. Here we go. Starting at number 8, okay? Part 5, because let's face it, it is not Jason, it is Roy. It is a man as a paramedic. His kid gets killed, and I think in that movie he's trying to blame Tommy Jarvis, trying to be like, ooh, Jason's back. And just, it's not Jason. It's got some pretty cool kills with some like shears and like a dude on a motorcycle getting, from there up and down 2 pieces. Just not a movie with Jason. So it's a Friday the 13th movie, and it is worth watching. Yes, it is part of the series. Kind of like Season of the Witch with Halloween, Part 5, New Blood. Number 8, least favorite. Number 7 would be Part 8. And I'm going to say I love Kane Hodder. I love the look. He looked really good in 7. He looked really good in 8. Not a bad idea to be like, ooh, he climbed on their ship and they sailed. And boom, bada bing, he's in New York. And, the stories about him supposedly kicking a dog, but he didn't want to, so he kicks a boombox. Great stories, great effects, cool kills, cool seeing him out of his element. Very bad ending. That is why it is number 7 on my list. Part 8 is number 7 on my list because the man has been in a lake. The man has killed people in rain. I don't know why water would make him into a baby. What is in that New York City water? They did it again in Freddy vs. Jason, but that's a whole new video that I'm going to touch on those other films. Number 7, Part 8. That's just how it is. So number 6, I'm going to say Part 2 because yes, it is iconic in the way that it is Jason, but there were so many movie mistakes. Machetes were backwards. How the hell did this guy in a wheelchair get propelled the way he did to go down the stairs? And honestly, that is a cool imagery and a cool scene, but there's just so many questions and so many mistakes, even down to the lady getting her butt hit with a rock and grabs the wrong cheek. So I'm going to leave that to movie mistakes and some bad acting. Jenny! That is why that falls at Part 2 is Part 6 on my list. Let's just say it that way. 3rd least favorite. I love it. It introduces Jason. Got some cool stuff in it. Classic. That's it, though. Nothing really else. And then this next one I'm going to get some crap for because if that came in at 6, then what comes in at 5 is Part 1. Friday the 13th. Mama Voorhees. I know, it started it all. It was classic. It had Kevin Bacon. It even had Kevin Bacon in a Speedo. That man's career launched so far. He's a great actor. One of the best kills in there. You don't expect it coming up from the bed. And the effects, like Mama gets hers at the end. The final girl grabs the machete, spins, and just you know what I mean if you've seen it with and she falls. And it's like the surprise ending with Jason coming up out of the water. Like that sets up the whole series basically from that point on. But again, Jason's my iconic character, not Pamela. So I'm going to say she comes in at a very smooth 4 on this list. And again, great for its time, great B film, started a franchise and gave birth, literally because she was his mother, to the most iconic serial killer slasher that I know and that many people know, Jason mother flippin' Voorhees. So with that said, and probably all the hate that I'm going to get that Pamela Voorhees and the original Friday the 13th was 4 on my list, my top 3 faves coming in at number 3, it's Part 4. Because Tommy Jarvis is introduced and you got the epic fight between him. And there's the throwback to like when in Part 2 she dressed as the mom and it confused him. Tommy uses that when he finds the newspaper clippings from that hitchhiker who's wanting to seek revenge on Jason. Makes himself look like Jason. Jason's like, oh my, what the, do I know you? You look familiar. Is that me? And then just lets him have it. And there's great kills. There's, it's up until this point, I think Jason honestly was still alive. He wakes up in the hospital, mad as hell, makes his way back home, still mad as hell, but then meets his fate at the hands of little Tommy Jarvis. And I gotta say, the two kills I love in it is the perverted doctor in the beginning, just kind of, if you've watched it, and I'm sure you have, it's like in the 80s. Great start to a freaking Friday the 13th. And then a great ending, because the next one is Tommy Jarvis on Jason. Oh my God, that's a red flag right there. I said the wrong guy. Okay, but Tommy Jarvis on Jason Voorhees with the machete, and just he hits and he slides down, and the mechanical effects, the visuals, everything was so good on that. And then just for Tommy to lose his crap and just die. Like, there was a great way to be like, well, Jason's finally dead. Like, if there was no doubt about it, Jason is dead. And I love that, because that gives birth to, like, the rest of them. After Roy steps in and goes, well, I'm Jason Voorhees. No, you're not. You're flipping Roy. You're a paramedic. Get out of here. But that brings me to another one where, like, it's the movie before it. And yes, this Jason, up until this point, I think is still alive in 2, 3, and 4. Number 3 is part 3 is number 2 on my list. I'm so excited about talking about Jason, I'm just losing my mind. So, part 3 is number 2 on my list, because let's face it, everybody loves Shelley. He's so lovable. Like, we've all been there. We've all been the misfit, the outcast. You know, someone's always made fun of us. Some of us are overly expressive and people don't understand. So Shelley is my main man in this movie. It had everything that I could think of. It had the stoners. It made you kind of laugh. Made you feel for Shelley. I'm going to go on and say that this one is number 2, not part. I keep saying parts. Thanks, Jason. Thanks, Friday. Everything with you is part. It's kind of like Friends, the one where. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Want to wrap this up, right? Part 3, number 2 on my list, for the reasons of there's really cool kills with like pitchforks and a spear gun. Along with that spear gun, though, came the one reason I really like this movie, and it's not the 3D. We're not talking about the 3D version. I don't know. That was a weird error in horror history, weird error in cinema history. Moving on, though, with that spear gun came the iconic mask. Poor Shelley, who basically got a little slit, gave the iconic mask to Jason. He is the reason. That is another reason Shelley is the man, because Shelley gave his life to make Jason look the way Jason looks. Part 3, wonderful movie, 2D, not 3D version, but it is number 2 on my list. Now, I've mentioned part 4, which was my third favorite, part 3, which is my second favorite. And now I'm down to the final one on the 3 top faves out of this countdown from 8 to 1, least to favorite. Jason Lives, everybody. Part 6 is number 1 on this list for so many reasons that I can't even talk about. I'd be here for days. I'd be here for hours. Hell, I'd be here for years. This movie is iconic. It is where he finds out he is stronger, like he's been dead. Tommy Jarvis couldn't leave well enough alone, gets out of the mental facilities, goes right to Jason's grave, says, I'm going to cremate him. He needs to make sure he's dead, digs him up, starts stabbing him, and Frankensteins his ass back to life. And Jason goes right back home, just like Tommy knew he would, just like Michael Myers, this time talking about the right guy, goes home on October 13th every year. I'm telling you, Jason doesn't care if it's Camp Forest Green. He doesn't care if Forest Green County is a thing. It is Crystal Lake to him, straight out of Tommy's mouth. He's always going to go where it's familiar, and that is always Camp Crystal Lake for him. And I just gotta say, there's so many cool kills. The whole camper scene alone, where he pushes the lady's face through the wall, and then he tips the camper, and the scene where the fire and the camper, and he's on top of it, because it doesn't matter that he crashed, he just pops right out. The fact that he's learning how strong he is by like taking a machete, and the whole dude's arm comes with it, and then he gets a goddamn hat trick, a triple threat beheading. It is amazing, and he kind of looks at the machete like, I am stronger, I am better. And then the fight with the sheriff, oh, the poor sheriff, that was another great kill, though, trying to save his daughter. He uses 2 guns, a shotgun, a rifle, and then he goes fisticuffs with him, and Jason just folds him like a lawn chair. And that brings me to another reason why I love it. Tommy Jarvis versus Jason Voorhees, round 2, the boat in the middle of the lake. fire surrounding the boat. Jason body slams the boat, breaks it in half, almost gets Tommy. Like, Tommy's drowning. The lady has to come out and save him, chopping Jason with the propeller, and he sinks to the bottom. And I could do this forever. Like, part 6 is number 1 on my list. So we're going to count down 8 to 1 now. We got part 5, part 8, part 2, part 1, part 7, part 4, part 3, part 6. Jason Lives is my favorite. If you don't watch Friday the 13th, never seen it, you really should. It is iconic. It's a little cheesy. It's from the 80s. He's an iconic monster. And I will do another video that covers Jason Goes to Hell, Freddy vs. Jason, Jason X, and the 2009 remake, which I'm just going to probably say, what the hell happened on that remake? I might even kind of talk about the video game. I loved it. It's a shame the whole court system messed that up. But I'm going to go ahead and leave now because I feel like, like Beetlejuice, if I say Jason Voorhees too many times, it could be 3, it could be more, hell, it could be less. That he's going to hunt me down like he got his revenge in part 2 when he actually left Crystal Lake and went and got the final girl. His mom's head might be in my fridge right now, and there might be an ice pick waiting for me. I don't know. But anyway, I survived the weekend. I went camping with Jason Voorhees, and I'm still here on Monday getting ready for work. And I'd rather go back and face Jason Voorhees than go to work because I'm feeling just a little bit like Garfield. God, I hate Mondays. Like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and just keep staying alive, keep surviving, keep being final girls and boys. And we will be back in the next one. Stay spooky. See you later.